We understood our people, we understood their appetite for changing their processes, and we really didn't want to do a one-size-fits-all, approach.
The operational rigor and discipline need to be based on a solid foundation of facts and data.
As we progress through the sprint, I want to see like a burn down of the dev tasks, and then I want to see testing and UAT tasks pick up. If we start a sprint with a lot of work and requirements still, I know that the teams haven't really thought through all of their stories, so they're carrying a little bit of risk into their plan in this way. So you definitely need to have a 1 year, 3 year, and a 5 year roadmap, both at the product and at the portfolio level. I think that's essential. Having a roadmap, what it really does is it educates all the stakeholders on what the vision is and what is our roadmap, what are the key milestones and what are the key deliverables. And then you sort of rely on processes, right? Like Agile and SAFe principles really provide you key steps to make sure there's alignment at every step of the way of the execution. But sometimes to go fast, you have to slow down so that you can communicate better, you can collaborate better, and you can just make better decisions when you have the right information that's exposed not just to the teams but to the leadership and to different levels in the organization.
I'm so thrilled about today's episode. I'm delighted to welcome a remarkable leader and an incredible human being, Poorna Kamath. Poorna is a senior technology manager at CSC Corptax. Poorna is someone who genuinely embodies versatility from engineering management, program management, and transformation initiatives. She has done it all. What truly stands out about Poorna is her ability to roll up her sleeves and make things happen. So, Poorna, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure talking to you. I know you're kind of a leader who really influences without authority, which is such a critical skill, especially for program managers. And I'm so excited to have you here today.
Thank you, Amrita. It's a complete pleasure to be here. I'm so excited to be doing this chat with you.
Fantastic, Poorna. Poorna, I have known you for a while now. Our kids go to the same school. I don't know if I have ever told you my first impression of you. I think it was one of those PTA events that I met you. And you were like all talk on top of everything. And I was thinking in my mind, gosh, she would make such a great program leader. And then I found out that's what actually you do for a living. So if I had to ask, what led you to become a program manager? I know you started as an engineering manager. Was it a conscious choice or more of an organic evolution?
My career has been one of reinvention and wearing multiple hats. 2013, with my current organization, I had the opportunity to get certified as a Scrum Master, and that's where it all started. My journey with Agile methodologies and transformation started then. Since then, I've always taken the opportunity to be in touch with processes wherever possible. And in 2020, there was a resourcing gap that needed to be bridged in the project management group. And I got into that role. And that was my first foray into not just vision setting, strategy, and execution, but also into program management. Since then, I've sort of stepped into the program management role. And, I've just been excited to bring strategy into real life and to drive meaningful impact. So, yes, I would say my journey has been very organic. It wasn't planned. So I just moved from engineering into program management, and I just sort of naturally gravitated towards that because I've always liked the organizational aspect of it. I've always looked at risk analysis, and in order to deliver software, I've always sort of had this tendency to look at it not just in terms of writing code, but also in terms of execution and delivery and risk analysis. So I think it was a natural progression for me to land up here.
I love how you also walk through that natural gravitation towards it, because I've seen it in real life that you are really good at wearing multiple hats. And I also love the way you said PMO has to own the program outcome and impact, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just to seed into that, it's kind of mind-boggling when you look at the stats. One of the HBR articles I was reading recently, it pointed out that 90% of the organizations fail to execute their strategy successfully. Now, from your perspective, Poorna, why is there such a big disconnect between strategy and execution? What's your take on that?
So communication, Alignment on priorities and transparency, in my mind, are crucial to bridging the gap between strategy and execution. Delivering software requires like seamless and cohesive orchestration across the different departments. So if there is no clarity in what is required of the different teams, then obviously the execution is impacted. So I think, in my opinion, every plan faces unknowns. So, without a cohesive unit driving the execution of the strategy, it always just leads to frustration. Then people always face confusion in terms of their roles and responsibilities, who's supposed to do what. So that's why I believe that, you need to be communicating. Over communicating sometimes is always better. And then just making sure that all your stakeholders are aligned on the priorities and the objectives, right? That really helps in a smooth translation of strategy into execution and delivery, I think.
Exactly. I think that's so true. I feel like operation engine really needs to hum, right? From executive leadership down to the individual team members. It's about how information flows, how decisions are made, how work gets done, how risks are surfaced, right? So everything needs to go to the right people at right time. And that whole transformation journey is a beast in itself. So you recently went through a successful agile transformation and helped establish it across the organization. What were some of the challenges you saw before that change?
In the past, what has happened is we had Scrum implementations that lacked true team autonomy. Our team makeup was just not set up right. We had rigid rules that replaced adaptability. The product owners were optional. So, there was a lack of people who could authoritatively prioritize your work. And then multiple people on the team juggled multiple roles and responsibilities. And so they weren't really able to dedicate themselves to a team and its objectives. And this kind of team setup really also fostered organizational silos, and we couldn't really achieve cross team functionalities and collaboration within the team. So naturally, we had trouble translating the vision and strategy into a product roadmap that was actionable and even achievable. And despite these hurdles, we have a very talented team. We were quite successful in delivering software, but it all came at a big cost to our people. We had long hours, a lot of frustration, a lot of miscommunication for all of those involved. So the experience was a little not optimal, I would say. And we were definitely barreling towards an unsustainable model in delivery. We just realized that we have to change the way we work. We had all of the key pieces. We had the right people, the right mindset. We were getting a lot done. We just needed to execute better, and we realized we have to rely on better processes to get us there.
So, what did you do to start that transformation? What was and what you did differently that made the transformation stick?
So, in order for the transformation to stick this time around, we really emphasized on alignment and communication. And we wanted to have the team set up right. And we wanted to establish psychological safety for all people involved. It started with leadership unity, really, for us. Our leadership team was 100% committed to embracing Agile at all levels. They didn't really fully grasp agility, but they were 100% committed to the vision. Their commitment really made it easy for us to, embark on this transformation journey and realize this transformation journey with our different teams. It made the job of the PMO very, very easy. Then we had champions within our technology teams and our product teams, and we also engaged with external Agile experts and process consultants who sort of, fueled our journey and provided us a working model to sort of implement across our different teams. Then I think, in addition to leadership unity and everybody getting on board with having to do this Agile transformation, we really started off by setting up the teams for success. So we restructured the teams. We made sure every team had a product owner, a dedicated development and QA team members, and also a scrum master or an agile coach who's going to coach the teams through this journey. Our vision was to be really a product-led and technology-enabled organization. So we saw product and technology really as going hand in hand, not as two separate departments. So those were some of the key things that we did, but that really helped us to establish clear roles and responsibilities within the team. We gave the team everything they needed to be autonomous. They could decide how they wanted to execute on a project. And I want to take this one step back. What we also decided to do was we changed the way we prioritize our work. we decided everybody has to be at the table right from the get-go. We came up with a wish list of things we wanted to do, but all stakeholders were involved. Then we did a collaborative prioritization exercise where everybody got to say why their particular project was important. And then we really locked down on the vision for the quarter. And we would take that vision statement and our list of objectives to our teams. And then the leadership team handed over that to the teams, and the teams were completely in charge of executing on the plans and realizing that vision. So to do this, we borrowed portions of the Scrum framework that worked for us. We also borrowed from the SAFe framework, and we really made it our own. We understood our people, we understood their appetite for changing their processes, and we really didn't want to do a one-size-fits-all, approach. We really gave them the flexibility to go at their own pace, decide their own journey, and that's how this transformation really has stuck this time, because we were able to create buy-in from the teams. We weren't forcing the process on anybody. We had a few pieces that were like common agreements and working agreements that we needed, but otherwise we just enabled the teams, got the right setup for the teams done, and we really brought everyone along for the journey in a very transparent and collaborative manner.
I have seen so many agile transformation go sideways. And what you said was spot on, that everybody needs to buy into that vision, right? You might not agree 100% to everything, but you need to believe in a bigger cause that we are going to make changes, and the team has to be committed to that, right?
Yeah.
That is the big learning, what I see that you also went through and implemented, which is a key point, if you will.
And I think just to add something to it, adaptability is at the core. Like, we wanted to make sure that we totally embrace the agile mindset. And what that really meant was recognizing the fact that we're not going to get it right from the get-go. Right? We recognized that. We were very honest about that. And we said, look, we're going to be very agile about it. We're going to try something for a little bit. We're going to learn from it. We're going to inspect, adapt, and adjust as we go. And that is what we've done. So with every quarterly planning or with every sprint, we really spend the time to see what did we do right? What can we do better? And we just iterate and we just improve every time. We just want to make progress. We're not chasing perfection, really.
I feel agile transformation is such a big thing. It doesn't happen overnight. It needs time to bake in, and acknowledging the fact that we won't get it right first. It will be a test and learn process, if you will. That mindset definitely helps. So in your experience, what's the biggest factor behind making all of this work? Is it the tools, the discipline, the mindset, or something else?
In my opinion, being agile and adopting agile methodologies is definitely a mindset. It's not just about applying it at the workplace, it even applies to life in general, right? So when we take on something new, you know fully well that you may not succeed at first. So you try something out for a set amount of time and you figure out what went right, you stick to it. And then whatever didn't go right, you just sort of iterate and improve on it. So I think it applies to the workplace as well. And that sort of mindset really takes the pressure off of teams. With Scrum, I love the fact that it's just, a 2-week sprint. So even if we get something wrong, it's not that we wasted an inordinate amount of time. Within 2 weeks, you're able to quickly readjust. And all of the ceremonies and the framework itself, it provides for ample opportunities for you to communicate, to collaborate, to raise risks, or even to pivot on your plans. So I think just being agile in the way you work, and agility itself, it's a mindset. And I would apply it to real life, but it's definitely beneficial at work.
We talk about agile. A lot of people are focused very much on the ceremonies, and sometimes it might not be as impactful. So what's your take on that? In your experience, have you had to adjust certain things based on how your team setups are, or you guys have said that no, we will go with like every ceremony needs to happen? How have you tackled that?
So, like I told you before, I think we knew that we had to do a few of the key things that are absolutely essential, like planning, refinement, and then, demos and reviews and retrospectives. I think they're very, very important. With the different processes, right? Obviously, they're there for a reason. The standards are always, and we look at it as guidelines. It's definitely good to have because they have a purpose and they have an intention when you want to do it. But we were very clear that we didn't want to mandate anything to our teams. There are a few key ceremonies which I think are absolutely essential to doing any sort of like a Scrum implementation. Like planning is key, stand-ups are key, and then refinement obviously is very important because you have to ruthlessly and continuously prioritize because your backlog sort of changes and you have to respond to events. And then we sort of decided that we want to be able to demonstrate something at the end of every sprint. And then we've sort of some of the others we've said like, look, teams have flexibility to do or not do. We left it up to the teams, like retrospectives or a review exercise. Sometimes we just left it to the teams to sort of organically adapt. So I think you have to recognize and sort of read the room, if you will. You have to understand your people and their appetite for change. And then having the right people like agile coaches on the team really helps, because this is really a journey. And it's like a marathon. It's not a sprint, even though the Scrum involves sprinting. But this is not a sprint. We're not running towards a finish line. We let our teams, organically sort of adopt the processes, let them find moments where they wanted to retrospect. So we gave the teams the freedom to adapt and embrace the ceremonies that were most meaningful to them.
I love this. As you said, it's a marathon, not a sprint, even though you have sprint. Poorna, I'll switch the gear a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
You and I have often talked about data-driven PMO. The operational rigor and discipline need to be based on a solid foundation of facts and data while maintaining a simple and clear approach, right? So from your perspective, what does your ideal dashboard looks like? How do you keep your programs, the pulse of the programs, if you will?
In my experience, what has proved beneficial is, we just don't want to be all about the processes. We want the processes to also walk hand in hand with the data. And we're very big on looking at the data to support our processes and the process change as well. When I look at how we're doing, let's say in a particular sprint, I look at it not only at the program level, but also at the sprint level. So my dashboards, look at it at a program level. When I'm looking at it, I look at it very high level. How are we doing with each of the features? What the big objectives are? When each feature is sort of getting delivered across a sprint? And, just we use burn down charts to tell us, how are we progressing? Are we burning down work? So I have that kind of reporting built into my program level dashboard. Sometimes what happens is when you get into execution, we have to constantly barter, right? Because you're responding to events. So we end up descoping certain features and end up adding certain features. And something is too big or discovery related, you end up adding more work, or we break down a particular feature to make it more releasable and so that we can deliver value quicker to the clients. So we have like a program level view. So that's one way of looking at the data. And then when it comes into how a sprint and teams are doing, we've built sprint level reporting as well and team level reporting as well, where we focus mostly on what are the different activities that are happening within in that particular sprint. So when we start the sprint, most of the activities are development heavy. There'll be lesser testing, lesser UAT related tasks. As we progress through the sprint, I want to see like a burn down of the dev tasks, and then I want to see testing and UAT tasks pick up. If we start a sprint with a lot of work and requirements still, I know that the teams haven't really thought through all of their stories, so they're carrying a little bit of risk into their plan in the sprint. So these are the different kinds of dashboards that we've built down. We've built burn down charts. We've built pie charts which tell me what kind of activities are being performed. We also look at how much workload is a particular team contributing to the overall sprint itself. So these are some of the things that we track to basically keep on top of the execution of a particular plan for a sprint.
How much of this analytics is part of your PMO activities, or are they the consumers in your world, or is this something that PMO actually actively builds these kind of dashboards?
So we are an Azure, like a Microsoft shop, and we use Azure DevOps. Many of these widgets are very user friendly, and you out of the box, you're able to leverage a lot of the widgets, and anybody can set up these views. So, but we do have an analytical component as well. We have some of the things that that I cannot do with tooling. I also rely on Power BI, and so does my team. I feel like this data-driven approach has really made my team very successful because they're able to sort of use the tools, and it's not overly engineered. It's not technology heavy. Anybody can draw these up, use the tooling to figure out how your sprint is going. So the tooling really allows you to rely on data. There is a little bit of a training component, but it's very easy to build. And it's just, the commitment to use that data to drive your decisions. I think that's where we made that our working agreement. We are going to rely on the data, and then we're going to identify the patterns, and backed by that data, we will then define and refine our processes. So that's what we have been doing. And I think that is working out very well for my team.
I think what you said is so important. You said dashboards are important for sure, but if nobody is using them and we are not using them to drive our day-to-day operations, it's just valueless, right?
Yes.
So having that agreement and really driving from there is a key for success. So have you had any challenges in getting this adaptability of PMO driven dashboard that you have come across?
Actually, I would say no, because I think a part of our cultural fiber is we've always relied on the data. I'm also in a corporate taxation product, so everybody always is looking at, does this foot right? Does this add correct? So a part of the organizational culture is to rely on data, look at data to make our decisions and drive our work. So I think just finding the right people and establishing then enabling the team to sort of work in that fashion and adapt the organizational culture has been a very organic process for us. When I have someone new, it just becomes a part of their working style and process when they come into our team. And it's a little hard, I think, when we start off. First, they start consuming that information, and then once it becomes natural to them, they're organically driving improvements to how we're looking at data as well. So I think it has worked out wonderfully for my teams. And one of our contracts is, 2/3 of the time we work on processes, 1/3 of the time we drive organizational objectives, which is to make sure that the data that we're looking at has its integrity, it's in the right state, and we'll be able to consume all of this reporting that we've built. Another conscious decision that we did was we didn't want to go overboard and have multiple reports, multiple widgets, and different places to look at things. One of our big initiatives since 2020 was to really drive down all of this reporting and just focus on the essentials to understand what's going on the floor, right? So we really stripped it down and went basic. We started with a few things and then we just built on it. So I feel like we've come to a right mix at this point. It took time, obviously. It took a lot of coaching, learning, and adapting as we went. But we have the right mix of reporting and widgets that allow us, and the right mix of rules as well. Because in order to maintain that integrity of the data, you have to come up with the right set of rules to define for your teams as well. So I feel like we've hit upon the right balance for our teams.
So here's a big question I hear all the time. And since you have gone through this whole agile transformation, I'm curious to know. I often hear agile versus yearly roadmap. A lot of people argue that if you're agile, you can't plan long term. And if you're planning long term, you're waterfall. What's your take on that?
This is a very good question, and I feel very passionately about this, right? So I think that's where your agile mindset comes into play. It doesn't have to be one or the other. You definitely need to have a 1 year, 3 year, and a 5 year roadmap, both at the product and at the portfolio level. I think that's essential. Having a roadmap, what it really does is it educates all the stakeholders on what the vision is and what is our roadmap, what are the key milestones and what are the key deliverables. And then you sort of rely on processes, right? Like agile and safe principles really provide you key steps to make sure there's alignment at every step of the way of the execution. We can achieve transparency, communication, and collaboration as well when we rely on these processes. So I don't think it has to be just, waterfall or agile to realize a roadmap. You can very well, using agile methodologies, you can execute on a yearly roadmap or even a 3 year or a 5 year vision. It just means that you have to be very agile about it. You have to recognize the fact that there might be market opportunities or business enablement opportunities that will come, and then you have to readjust your roadmaps. And so when you look at SAFe, what SAFe does is it gives you this platform of program increment planning or quarterly planning. And what we have done is we've mapped our yearly roadmap to the quarterly planning cycle. But we very well know that priorities may shift and we may have to respond to a market need. And since it's just a quarter, and within that quarter, it's just broken down into sprints, if there's anything that comes up that where we have to sort of inject work into or inject an initiative into our roadmap, we're able to do that because we're agile. And so agile really gives you that chance to incorporate fast feedback cycles. So I think it's really wonderful that, all of these frameworks that are tried and tested really allow you to execute better on your roadmap and vision. It doesn't have to be like it was in the past with waterfall.
I feel that's so true, right? So agility is not about that, hey, we can't plan for tomorrow. Agility is about we know what the plan is and we can pivot if we need to pivot. So I feel that is the fundamental piece of agile. And many times I feel people or teams take it completely different tangent,
Uh-huh.
and that makes agile transformation fail as well.
I think one of the big misconceptions is if you go agile, you're going slow. But sometimes to go fast, you have to slow down so that you can communicate better, you can collaborate better, and you can just make better decisions when you have the right information that's exposed not just to the teams, but to the leadership and to different levels in the organization. So I think that's the beauty of agile methodologies in the realization of a roadmap.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough. I'll switch the gear a little bit here again. With Gen AI gaining momentum, where do you see the biggest impact for PMOs in terms of efficiency, decision making strategy? And there is innate fear also that a lot of jobs are going to get impacted. So, how do you see this whole mix?
So leveraging AI really is just a game changer. I feel like when you rely on AI, you're just being able to sort of distinguish between tasks that require human intervention and those tasks that can be automated. For instance, let me give you an example. On the if you're a Microsoft Teams user and with the Teams Premium subscription, what it allows you to do is when you record meetings, it generates AI notes and action items even. So one of the first things that we did with this whole, AI buzz was we said, okay, let's go down to the Teams Premium subscription because I really wanted my teams and the team members to be able to be present in the conversation. Previously, they would have spent time taking down notes and trying to figure out who's saying what are the different action items. They were so focused on jotting things down. But now, with the use of AI, they can really be a part of the conversation. They can understand, they can read nuances, they can pay attention to body language, they can maybe even prompt conversations. And so the facilitation and the quality of facilitation and participation really improves by leveraging these AI tools. So that's just one example, right? So I feel like with the changing technology landscape, I think you just have to have an AI first approach. It's just going to make all of us a lot more effective at the jobs that we do. It's not that, we're going to get replaced or, we're going to lose our jobs. It's just about acquiring new skills in this changing technological landscape and just getting better at what you do. It's going to take away all of the work that you did just to be just as work or busy work, and it's really going to give you the time and afford the time to be creative, to do the big thinking. And this with every job you'll have to like strategize a little bit. It really just frees up your time to do the thinking and the execution pieces of your work.
Well said, Poorna. Fantastic. Before we wrap, let's do a quick Beyond the Boardroom rapid fire round. I'm always excited about this. So, are you ready?
Yes, let's go.
All right. So, one tool you can't live without.
Oh my God, I'd have to say it's Azure DevOps because that's the bread and butter that fuels my job, and it's our system of truth. So yeah, Azure DevOps for sure.
All right. Your favorite leadership book.
Okay, so this one is I dilly-dally a little bit. I read parts and bits of it, but I really like Start with the Why by Simon Sinek and Radical Candor by Kim Scott. I read and reread portions of it.
Morning ritual.
Any day goes off right if I'm able to get on my Peloton, get my workout done. So yeah, that is my morning ritual, but I will admit that don't always get to do it.
Okay, fair enough. One piece of advice for somebody building a PMO today.
So one piece of advice would be find people who can be practical about processes. It shouldn't never be about one size fits all or about following every single process to the T. Establish working agreements, read the room, let it be an organic growth. And gently coach the teams towards good habits and good practices. So that would be my recommendation.
So And you've gone through this whole transformation. What would you do differently?
So I don't think I can say that we've gotten everything right and it's perfect, but I really enjoy how our teams have come together to realize this vision and achieve this transformation. I'm really proud of our leaders, our developers, our product team. Everybody has really embraced the process. So I think if I were to do differently, I would just do this sooner. I wish we had done this several years ago.
Thank you, Poorna. Thank you so much for sharing your insight and experience with us today. Your journey from engineering to program management and your passion for agile transformation are truly inspiring. So, you have shown us also that leadership is not about the titles you hold, but about driving meaningful change through strategic thinking, building alignment, influencing without authority, and also team empowerment. Thank you so much for coming today, Poorna.
Thank you, Amrita. I really enjoyed sharing all of my learnings and my journey with you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. So, to everyone listening, I hope you found today's conversation as insightful and motivating as I did. Building a high impact PMO is about people, culture, and a mindset of continuous growth. So, thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Boardroom and stay tuned for more inspiring conversation. Until next time.